Greetings to our Albanian community. I'm Father Tabang, chaplain at St. Albans College, and with me I have the new CSP head, Kgaleke Moraba. CSP stands for College Support Program. As a school, we are observing Health Week, and today is Wellness Wednesday. And I want to focus today on mental wellness and just a few strategies that we can use to make sure that we are okay. So Kgaleke, congratulations on being appointed as the head of CSP.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
How do you feel about this new responsibility ahead?
I'm very humbled with the responsibility, sir. It's been, I've been putting in the work, sir, and I really think it's of an paramount importance to make sure every single boy is accounted for in terms of mental health, because mental health is as important as physical health.
Well, I certainly look forward to working with you in the next year to make sure that we support our boys here at the college. Tell me, the other day at assembly, you spoke about your experience after losing your brother and the anxiety that you felt. Do you want to share more about that?
I'd love to, sir. Thank you, sir. It was really a tough experience. I mean, losing someone is such a traumatic event, sir. But what really pushed me through is just being able to be vulnerable. And I think sometimes you misinterpret what vulnerability means. Because if you ask me, vulnerability is the true essence of power. So it really is. So I was able to be vulnerable to Mr. Southwood. I was able to get medication. And after some months, I just started to get better and better and better.
You touch on something very important there, being vulnerable. I remember when I lost my mom in the beginning of this year, I faced the difficulty of facing the world and facing people. And I just didn't know how to respond when people felt sorry for me. And a lot of times I didn't want to speak about what I was feeling. But when I started being vulnerable, I actually found that I can speak to people and actually feel better about it. Yeah. Is that what you would say you felt?
Absolutely. So many of us go through this thing a lot of times in life, sir. When we go through such a traumatic event, or when we feel depression or anxiety, we tend to want to push people away. When that's the opposite of what we should be doing. We should really pull closer to people and make sure they know about it and not be ashamed of what we're feeling.
Wow. And you speak about your experience of speaking to Mr. Southwood. Do you want to tell us how it felt to speak to a psychologist for the first time? Were you scared?
Yes, sir, I was scared. In the beginning, I didn't like the idea. You can ask anyone. I genuinely didn't like the idea of sitting with, someone I barely even knew and talking about my emotions. And you can even ask Mr. Southwood. In the beginning, I was barely vocal. I wasn't saying anything. But after the sessions continued on and on and on, I started to get more vulnerable and open up. And talking to someone actually makes quite a big difference.
Wow. So what would you say to boys who feel that it's weird to speak to a psychologist or to come and speak to the chaplain here at the school? What would you say to them?
I'd tell them there's no such thing. I'd tell them that real men speak about their feelings, because we are the new generation, sir, and we should be pushing this new agenda, sir. I truly believe that by speaking to someone like a chaplain or Mr. Southwood, you can really attempt to be vulnerable, because as I said before, vulnerability is true power, sir.
How privileged do you feel as a boy at St. Albans College?
So I feel very privileged. That it's actually humbling. It's a scary type of privilege, sir, because I'm put in a position where I get to help all these boys, sir, and just really change their life, like Mr. Southwood changed my life when I started speaking for him. And it's really such a powerful thing to stand up and say, I've had depression, I've had anxiety, and I've felt lonely, and I am not ashamed.
So just the last question, what would you say to our community, the one thing that you want to leave us with?
If there was one thing I could leave you guys with, is just to be yourself in anything. Like I said at assembly, we are who we are, and whoever that is beautiful. Too many times we try to alter ourselves or filter ourselves to change the way we feel and what we really feel. But we shouldn't be ashamed of our ethnicity, race, or background at all, sir. So if there's one thing I'd like to leave the college with, it's just a pride in who we are and the pride in our badge.
Thank you so much, Kgaleke, for spending this time with me.
Thank you for having me, sir.
And to the rest of the community, I just want to say this. At some point in our lives, we will all be at a point where we feel lonely, where we are overwhelmed, where we are anxious or even afraid. And I just want to encourage you, don't be afraid to seek help and to speak to someone. It actually helps. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So I just want to say to you and assure you that it helps when you actually speak to someone and seek help. Galeke, good luck for the rest of this year and next year as you lead us in this portfolio.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.